Let's get it, yo. Let's get it. Let's get to it. We got a good topic today. And the reason why we got a good topic today, I particularly think, hang on. The reason why I think we got a good topic today is because this kind of stuff matters to me. And when I bring you guys, when I bring you guys this kind of content, right? When I bring this to you because I need to understand. I need to understand these things. I need to understand why the scoring guard is more valued more than the distributor who can score. I need to know what makes a player elite. I need to know that. And with that being said, I'm here tonight because of the games that I watched last night, right? Of the games that I watched last night, I want to know from the people. I want to know, yo, what happened to the complete player? Why don't we value that guy? Why don't we value the complete player? And where are they? Where is the complete player in today's game? The guy that everything you looking for, he got it. Everything. So what does everything mean? I mean, he can score the basketball at an elite level. He can distribute. He rebounds. He's smart. He defends. He's a good team guy. Where is that guy? And who is that guy? And how impactful is he on his unit? And the reason why I'm asking that is because when I think about the all-time great players, right? When I think about the all-time great players, I'm sorry, I kind of got thrown off the track. I apologize. But when I think about the all-time great players, the complete player it wasn't a premium. He was valued. Like a lot of times I hear you guys talking about the two-way player, right? A lot of times I hear you guys talking about the two-way player, and you talk like that's a premium. Last I checked, the cheese comes with the burger. The cheese isn't extra. The fries aren't extra. That's part of the meal when you get it. You don't say, all right, it's an extra $3 for fries. No. That comes with the meal. So when I get a player that's a quote unquote two-way player, why is that a premium? Why are you guys valuing more today a scorer, a bucket getter, than a complete player? I'm watching the Boston Celtics in Oklahoma City last night. I'm watching the Boston Celtics in Oklahoma City Thunder last night. And one second. What up, Mook? Yeah, it's just some particulars that they're getting figured out. That's all it is. It's some particulars they're getting figured out. We'll be back soon. Yes, we will. We'll be back soon, Mook. We'll be back in effect real soon. So so to what I was saying, I'm watching Boston and Oklahoma City last night. And when I watch Shea, right, when I watch Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, he reminds me of a cross between Steve Smith and Brandon Roy. That's what I'm looking at. Like, he doesn't blow me away with his athleticism, but he could get past guys. He doesn't play above the rim, but he can get to the rim with the best of them. And he's one of the better defenders in the game. That's a complete player right there. I watch Jason Tatum because, contrary to popular belief, like a lot of guys will see the 36 that he put on on Boston last night, and they'll completely leave out the last 5 minutes of the game. Jason Tatum was matched up on him. These are how many buckets he had in the last 5 minutes of the game. These are how many buckets SGA had last night. And why did he only have that? Well, the reason why he only had that was because, one, you're putting a bigger defender on him. Two, you're putting a more athletic defender on him. Three, you're putting a more physical defender on him. You're putting them, which means that with all of this, now you have a guy with more range, can cover more ground, more physical. So it got me to thinking last night, why can't he guard him? Why can't he guard him throughout the game? And the reason why I'm asking that is because I've seen it done. I've seen Scottie Pippen deal with Dominique Wilkins. I've seen Scottie Pippen deal with the better scorers in the game and still be productive. So a guy like Jason Tatum, who is between 27 and 30 a game, would you sacrifice that 27 to 30 for it to be, I don't know, let's say 22 to 25 with elite defense? I would. I definitely would. 100% I would. And the reason why I would do that is because I know for a fact that I'm going to get the best version of him. He's going to make it hard on other guys. Number three, he's going to make my defense so much better. And let me tell you something. A lot of you guys, and I understand why, because you haven't been around to see it, but defense is infectious, brother. When you got a dude on your crew that locks down, that's infectious within the crew. Because now, if this dude doing it, I see him working, I don't want my guy to score neither. Well, then this dude sees me doing it, and he's going, I'm getting on his page. I don't want him doing it. I don't want my guy to do it neither. The thing I'm thinking about more than anything is coming into the huddle and they're drawing it up on the other side and saying, listen, guys, I don't know what it is they drawing up over there, but they got to get somebody else to do it because my guy ain't doing it. The dude I'm covering ain't doing it. That's infectious when you play defense at an elite level throughout the game. Everybody else wants to get on your page. Everybody else wants to get with you. Well, if your man ain't scoring, then that means that leaves my guy. Well, my guy ain't doing it either. Well, wait a minute. Then that leaves your guy. Don't look over here because my guy ain't doing it. My guy is not doing it. So when I get a guy like Jason Tatum, who I watch him in the last 5 minutes of that game, shut the door on SGA. Shut the door on him. I'm thinking to myself, why don't you accept that assignment throughout the course of the game? Why don't you accept that assignment throughout the course of the game and slow him down throughout the course of the game, which would be infectious towards your defense? Because the more I watch Drew Holiday, the more it's starting to become more apparent to me that he ain't washed. No, I don't think he's washed. I still think he's a great defender. But there are times when, kind of like with Jordan and Scottie Pippen, there are times when, yo, you're going to have to take this one. And that's okay, especially when you got a guy like that on your crew. Yo, can you deal with this guy? Because I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen with Jordan. As good as Jordan was as a defender, yo, can you deal with this guy? Mike, you score the rest of the points, I'll deal with 22. Can you score the rest of the points? I'll deal with 32. I'll deal with him. And the reason why I feel like that's important is because it's infectious throughout the crew. They don't want it to be their guy. And when I see a guy like Jason Tatum shut the door on Shea in the last 5 minutes of the game, shut the door on him. Shai's trying to get downhill. Jason Tatum's beating him to spots. He's trying to shoot over the top of Jason Tatum. No, it's not happening. It's not happening. So it's obvious that he can defend at an elite level. It's obvious that he can do that. So because it's obvious that he can do that, why doesn't he accept the assignment more throughout the course of games? Except playing against Shai. Except Donovan Mitchell. Like, you ain't kicking our ass tonight. I'll deal with him. And on top of that, guys like Jaylen Brown, why aren't you accepting that assignment? And why aren't you taking pride in it? Why aren't you doing that? And the reason why I ask that is because, the reason why I ask that is because I see the athlete that Jaylen Brown is. I know how smart he is. I know how athletic he is. I see his skill set as a defender. I'm on record saying this. I could teach you footwork. I could teach you how to shoot gaps. I can teach you how to get in the passing lane. I can teach you all of those things. At the end of the day, defense is effort. Drop your ass, get your feet moving, get your hands busy. It is about paying attention to detail 100%. It's knowing, it's absolutely knowing where a guy is, what spots a guy gets to, knowing where his nuances are, knowing where his favorite spots are. All of that stuff is important, 100%. However, it has a lot to do with effort. It has a lot to do with effort. And I saw Jason Tatum last night in them last 5 minutes accept the assignment. I'll deal with him. It's almost like he went in the huddle and said, I'll deal with Shai. I think that they would win a lot more games if he dealt with guys more often, as opposed to at the end of games. And it's okay to say, and it's okay for Jrue Holiday, being an elite perimeter defender, to go, can you help me with this dude? They would be more than happy to help him. They would be more than, that's what you guys, that's what we're here for, Drew. That's why we're here. We're here to help you. What happened to you last year when you was in Milwaukee, when they left you on that island with Jimmy Butler, that is unacceptable. We're not going to do that here. We're not doing that here. That's what we're here for. We're here to help you. And they would be more than happy to help him. And I think that the complete player would be more valued if you saw that more. One of the guys that I think about in particular, I heard a great story. One of the guys I think about in particular is Bill Russell. In the Eastern Conference Championship, I believe it was in 1962, 63, Bill Russell threw the ball off the support. He threw the ball off the support, which is holding up the rim. He throws the ball off the support, and it goes back to Philadelphia. In the process of it going back to Philadelphia, they go to the bench. And Bill says to the crew, somebody's got to help me. I need somebody to get me off the hook. Havlicek was the first guy to go, I got you, big fella. I got you. And the reason why he said that is because you know how many times this dude has gotten me off the hook? You know how many times this dude has cleaned up my messes? You know how many times this dude has helped me out? I'm more than happy to get you out of this. Hell yes, I got you. I absolutely have you. And the same logic goes for guys like Jrue Holiday. It's okay, as good as you are as a defender, to recognize this dude is a lot to deal with. This dude is a lot to deal with. I'm going to need some help dealing with it. Because there's no shame. There is no shame in being a defender and having to deal with a guy and needing some help to deal with him. Chamberlain said that. Chamberlain told us that Jabbar was the first guy that he actually needed help to guard. And so what? So what? Where is the complete player in today's game, guys? Where is he? And why isn't he valued? Why don't you care about him that much? Why do you care more about the bucket getter? Why do you care about that dude more than you care about the complete player? I don't get it. Because I know for a fact, that how valuable the complete player is, how big a deal he is to the unit, how much better he would make you. And you would be asking for more guys like that. Now, I do understand this. I do understand that we live in an age where scoring is where scoring is necessary. Excuse me. I do understand that today's games has the better athlete. I don't know if I agree with that, but because evolution takes hundreds of millions of years. I want to be clear on that. Evolution takes hundreds and millions of years. So, I mean, Wilt could dunk the ball from the free throw line without running. So, I mean, I don't know how much better of an athlete you get than that. I mean, not Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell was touted to be in 1960 on the Olympic team as a high jumper. So, I mean, there's great athletes for centuries. So, the point that I'm making is I understand that today's game has the better athlete. I understand. I get your logic on that. Today's game has the better athlete. Today's game has the more skilled athlete. Well, if you're going to give me that logic, right? If you're going to tell me that today's game has the better athlete, if you're going to tell me that today's game has the more skilled player, wouldn't that mean that on the defensive side of the ball, I could be just as good? I'm still a great athlete. And if I'm more skilled and I've evolved, wouldn't that mean I've evolved mentally too? Because I didn't just evolve physically. Wouldn't that mean that I evolved from a basketball IQ standpoint? I'm not just bigger, faster, stronger. I know the game more today than I did 60, 70 years ago, according to your logic, right? According to the logic of the game being more skilled today, the athlete being better. Well, wouldn't that mean that on the other side of the basketball, I'm more skilled as a defender? I'm smarter as a defender? Wouldn't that mean that? So if that meant that, why aren't there more complete players in the game? Why aren't there? Why aren't there more Scottie Pippens? Why aren't there more Dennis Rodmans? Why aren't there these guys? Why aren't these guys here today? Because let's be clear about one thing. Olajuwon, Scottie Pippen, Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan. These are the guys, Shaq. These are the guys who helped generate championships. Kobe Bryant did not play on one side of the basketball. Shaq did not play on one side of the basketball. Tim Duncan did not play on one side of the basketball. LeBron James did not play on one side of the basketball. And this generated into winning. So why aren't these guys more valued today like they were back then? And the reason why I'm asking that is because I look at these guys, I look at the complete player today. James, Kawhi Leonard, who I'm not sure Leonard's going to still be in the league in a couple of years, and in 2 years. The reason why I feel like that is because I'm not sure his body's going to hold it. I'm just not sure. But Kawhi Leonard, James, guys like that, complete players, as opposed to the guy who's on one side of the basketball who What does he do exactly? I call that dude the specialist. That's what I call him. I call him a specialist. And the reason why I call him a specialist is because you only do one thing. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. There are guys, right? There are guys who are so good offensively that they are exceptions and they actually negate that, right? They negate that. So, Magic, Curry, Luka, these guys negate that because they were so good offensively that when you're talking about how good these guys are, you kind of forget about how awesome they were, how bad they were defensively. You forget about that. And Joker too, E, absolutely. And Joker is a guy who will give you effort defensively. I'm on record saying this. This is not something that I'm making up. This is not something that's on the fly. I'm on record saying this. With Joker, with a guy like Joker, I equate Joker to the guy that's running a sprint. I might not be able to run as fast as you, but I'm gonna try. When I run this 100-yard dash, I can't run as fast as you, but I'm damn sure gonna give effort. I'm gonna try, as opposed to a guy like Damian Lillard, who is a cone, which would explain why they don't win, because he is not prepared to put it on the line as a defender. He's not prepared to do that, and he doesn't give the effort necessary in order to do that. So when I think about when I think about the complete player, how much I value him, and I see him basically getting thrown by the wayside today, it's corny. And the reason why it's corny is because the guys that you value to be great are what is almost deemed as specialists. Klay Thompson wasn't a specialist because Klay actually was elite on the defensive side of the basketball. That's the difference. He was actually elite on the defensive side of the basketball, in addition to shooting the basketball at an elite level. Now, the difference today is he can't defend like he used to. So he's now becoming more of a specialist. He's now becoming more of a guy who can just shoot the basketball. The reason why I can't defend like I used to, because I'm not the athlete that I used to be. Those injuries lessened that. 100% they did. Those injuries kind of threw a monkey wrench in it. And I accept that these guys, unfortunately, are not going to be around forever. But what I'm not going to do is I am not going to devalue the complete player. And watching the Celtics, Oklahoma City yesterday, that actually got me to thinking about that. Watching Cleveland and watching Donovan Mitchell. Because a lot of you guys negate a guy being a steals leader. Just because I'm a steals leader does not mean that I don't defend. Don't get me wrong, on-ball defense is more difficult than playing in the passing lane. But being a thief like these guys are, it's a big deal because you got to be smart in order to do that. You have to be smart in order to do that. There's a lot of effort that goes into being a one-on-one defender. And a lot of these, and some of these steals leaders, like James Harden. James Harden wasn't willing to put in the effort to be a good one-on-one defender. He was not willing to do that. He was obviously willing to put in the effort to be a thief. One of the best thieves in the game. Absolutely. But he wasn't willing to put in the effort to be a great one-on-one defender. And because he wasn't, I can't talk about you like I talk about the great ones. Because you only played on one side of the basketball. And when I think about James Harden, as an exception, Like, I can't talk about him like I talk about Jerry West. I can't talk about him like I talk about Magic. I can't. I can't, and I will not. So I want to know from you guys. I do. Where are the complete players in the game? Oz, get out of my comments. Oz, listen. Nope, I don't have no time for this goofy logic. No, I do not. Nope, I ain't trying to hear that. Nope, not trying to hear it. Get up out of here. I want to hear from you guys because I'm opening up the phone lines. I'd like to know, where is the complete player today? And why don't we value him? I'm watching Oklahoma City and Boston last night. I watched Cleveland. I watched Evan Mobley. I'm in love with that kid. I think he's fantastic. I think he's phenomenal how good he is. And the problem that we're having with him is, okay, his offense isn't translating as quickly as I would like it. But that's probably because I'm more of a guy who, when I see something, I'm like, I want to see more of it. And when I see Evan Mobley, I'm looking at a guy that I think that on the low end, he's 20 and 10. On a Tuesday, he could be a 20 and 10 guy. That's what I see when I see him. But he's not valued nearly as much by other people as he should be. So I wonder from you guys, where are the complete players in the NBA? And how do you value these guys? How do you? How do you look at them? What do you think of them? I'm interested to hear that. So what up?
Hey OG, how you doing?
What's up, brother? What's going on,
Happy
brother?
New Year. Happy New Year.
Yes, sir.
I think I have I don't know if I know the answer, but I have a kind of an idea. And I think it's a merger of like what's popular with growing up with young kids as well as what they're teaching them. Because when Steph Curry came out, I remember because I was probably in my 20s, like all these young kids were playing, and all it was about 3-pointers, and then KD. And I think what happens is it becomes popular is like, oh, just one-dimensional playing. Like it's all about 3-pointing. It's all about this, or it's all about that. And I think throughout from when Steph Curry and KD came in upward, I don't know, you're a coach, I'm not, but I think some of the coaches were like, oh, well, the kid, well,
I'm not a coach.
I thought you did some coaching, but I think the coaches might be like, oh, well, the kids really like to do 3-pointing, so that's what we're going to mainly focus on.
Right.
And so if they do make it to the NBA or they do make it to a pro level, it's all about that. And they're not, I don't think what's popular, and I don't think what's generating around like the young kids, like they did in the 60s and 70s, was defensive. And then I think when it becomes popular, that's all they want to do. So they think that's all we need to do. And then they lose some of those other things.
So it's more in the time. So like if I grew up in the 60s, I would probably think that was basketball. So if I grew up in the 70s, I would think that was basketball. So if I grew up during this time, like in the 2010s, this is what basketball is, and this is what basketball looks like. So
and it was what you get used to. Yeah.
Right. And I wouldn't know like 20 years before me because I'm 15 or 16 and I don't really know what the game is. So because I don't really know what the game is, I'm only going off Steph Curry, James Harden, guys like that, and KD.
Yeah.
And I think that that's basketball, and that's only basketball. Unfortunately, that's not a good thing. That's where guys like me come. It's not, unfortunately.
Because you lose grounding on the essence of what the game is, like the fundamentals and the little things that add up. And it's not just going to the 3-point line and shooting. There's the paint and there's things like that.
Right. Absolutely. I absolutely can get with that. 100%. No doubt.
And you lose respect also for the players that do that. You think, oh, well, you're not doing what's the popular thing. You're not just going to the 3-point line shooting.
You throw that out. So like a guy like Scottie Pippen who averaged 22 a game, like only averaged 22 a game. Like, yo, you know how hard it is to average 20 a game plus be elite on the defensive side of the basketball?
Yeah. Like
Ron Artest, Meta World Peace. He was elite on the other side of the basketball, plus a 20 and 10, plus a 20 a game guy. I mean,
exactly.
You kind of lose sight of that. I guess that's why I'm here. I guess that's why I'm here to basically balance out, what the complete player is, and to make sure that people understand that I can admire Damian Lillard. I can admire De'Aaron Fox. I can think how great Sabonis is, but I can also recognize that, he can improve on this and be more of a complete player. Because I saw guys that did what he did, only except they did more on the other side of the basketball. That's fair.
Totally. Because I remember, like, this is the last bit. Like, I remember when I was like a kid, I used to watch other kids play in the schoolyard, and there would be defense. There would be someone playing defense. There would be someone doing lots of like passing, scoring. There'd be like lots of different things happening. And then when I was in my 20s, I watched the kids that were like growing up, and they were just going to the 3-point line and shooting when like Curry came in.
Right.
And barely any defense, barely any passing. Everybody was just like, give me the ball. I want to shoot from the 3-point line. And they'd be like,
right.
I'm Curry. And that's just I'm not complaining like, get off my porch grandpa style. I'm just being more like, it's just the evolutionary part of it. But what's sad is when you do go into a pro or an NFL or an NBA, you kind of lose grasp of those other fundamentals. And I think that's what's happening right now is we're valuing, like you said, specialty rather than, a little bit of everything instead of just one thing, But yeah, that's my theory.
All right, brother. Good to talk to you. That's fair, man. That is fair, yo. It is. What up, MJ?
What up, Chill? Can you hear me?
What up? Yep, you hot. What's going on, brother?
Nah, man, because I was just thinking about it. I think overall, like the complete player, especially from what you've seen over the years, is very interesting because I think Chill, like, especially with kids now, they only get taught to do like one thing. So whether it's like playing defense or passing or shooting the ball, I think overall they never get introduced to everything, but they get introduced to one thing because you normally want to focus on the strength first before the weakness, really. But then later on in the off season, that's why you had the off season to work on those weaknesses and to work on those things, basically.
Right.
Because I look at someone like a Giannis. Giannis plays both ways of the ball. You look at him defensively, him being an anchor defensively, and him offensively, especially with Dame now. Him playmaking more, him pretty much being operated as a screener, him going downhill. He's doing a lot for the offense. You look at also someone like Jason Tatum, who defensively is starting to get better, who is passing, who is scoring the ball. So I think overall, and also Shea can be someone that can be added to in that mix as well because of what he does offensively and defensively as well. So I think overall, because Chill, like the players now are just so like you're just so focused on doing one thing so well that you forget about the other things. And then it may be a hindrance to your game, especially in the playoffs, because Chill, in the playoffs, they only focus on what you don't do well. And the things that you do well, they're going to try to take it away. So I think that's kind of the main problem.
Which is fair. And because of that, you just mentioned it. Because of that, if you are that in terms of being a specialist, then I'm going to talk about you like you're a specialist.
Right.
I can't talk about you like I talk about the all-time greats. Off the strength that you're not like that.
Right.
You're not that way. And because of that, you miss out as a player. 100% you do. You absolutely miss out. Especially because a guy like Jason Tatum, who is a better athlete than people give him credit for. A guy like Jaylen Brown. A guy like Donovan Mitchell. Russell Westbrook was the defensive player of the year in the Pac-12. How does he come into the NBA? How does he come into the NBA and never make the All-League defensive team one time?
Right.
Not one time. Exactly. He was the defensive player of the year. So he was a defender. Donovan Mitchell, he was an All-League defender in the ACC. How did he come into the NBA and not be an All-League defender one time? Because that's his staple. That's his staple when he comes into the game. So he came into the game trying to become more of a complete player because he had it on the defensive side of the basketball. Right. On the offensive side of the basketball, he could score it with the best of them. He averaged 28 a game last year. That's a career year. He never did that in Utah 1 year. It's a career year. So with that being said, I think that these guys, they could have done it. Like Russell Westbrook could have been that. And I think we would value him way more than we do today. If he was more of that than he is today. Way more.
All right, for sure.
All right, brother. Good to talk to you. What up, Biggs? Big, what up? I had Biggs. I don't have him no more. I don't. What up?
What's good, OG? Can you hear me?
What up? You hot?
All right, cool. Good to talk to you again, and Happy New Year. I got a couple of points. I'm young. I'm in my 20s, but I'm very old school, so I actually wrote some stuff down. And I got 5 points here. My first point is business over basketball and how the commissioner change, I feel, plays a role in that.
He became
Stern, it became more of a players' league when Silver came in versus Stern, who was judge, jury, executioner in his time. The second point that I have is that America teaches the game wrong. Because when I look at someone like a Luka, someone like a Jokic, somebody like a Manu Ginobili, all of these guys, the one thing that they have in common, though their play styles vary, is they know how to share the basketball. They know how to get their teammates involved, and this is something that is fundamentally drilled into the same way, if you don't score over here in America, then 9 times out of 10 you're going to be pushed to the bench. The same way it's the same thing over there. Where if you don't learn how to pass the basketball, you don't learn how to work on those fundamentals. Even things such as using a glass. If you don't do those little things, you're not going to see much time on the floor. The small little minuscule things.
But it's the difference between winning and losing. That's fair.
And Manu, Jokic, and I think Luka, as his career progresses, they're all going. They've won. At least as far as it relates to Manu and Jokic. I think Luka, as his career progresses and the Dallas gets a little bit better, gets some more pieces around him, he's definitely on his way to becoming a multi-time champion. Okay, the third point I have is that it's kind of a play on this on the second point that I had, but I had a coach back in middle school. I'll never forget him, and I'm still in contact with him to this day. Coach Aaron. When I first made the team, when this team first started, I was in 6th grade. Didn't make the team. I wasn't good enough at the time. I just didn't have it. That summer of 6th grade going into 7th grade, I worked my tail off. I'm talking about 5 a.m. I think I'm 13 now at this point, but I'm working as if I'm a pro. Actually 5 a.m. workouts, running, conditioning, worked on my stuff, because what was the secret? He told me that you're probably not going to be a LeBron. You're probably not going to be a D Wade. Those are the guys that was hot, during my time. You're probably not going to be a Kobe, but you can't be Carlos Boozer. Get us some rebounds. Get us do the dirty work. Do the things that no one else is willing to do. And I promise you, come the fall of the incoming year, I'm gonna have a spot for you. And he had a spot for me because I was willing to do those things that nobody else is willing to do. I was willing to work my tail off. And then by the time 8th grade came around, I'm the captain of the team. I'm averaging 25 a game. I'm averaging 5, 6 assists, and I'm giving you 7, 8 rebounds because I allowed what I was not good at to become something that I was good at. And then I started to focus on the offensive side of the basketball. The offensive side came last, which is why it wasn't until my last year that my numbers jumped so high. I prioritized the little things first versus, I'm going to just be a specialist and I'm going to just find my niche because there's not that much competition playing. No, I want to be good at everything. My favorite player, like you, is LeBron. I got my LeBron bag that I've had since high school. That's my favorite player, and my favorite player was LeBron. Oh, people used to ask me, why you don't like Kobe or this, that, and the third? And I was like, Kobe's great on the offensive and the defensive side of the ball. LeBron is everything. He is your offense. He is your defense. He is smart. I was just thinking about this the other day. I don't mean to go off script, but LeBron has probably never played with a coach that's known more than him.
I don't think so.
And I think that is a large part of the reason why, again, even when we talk about Jordan and like these guys had Phil Jackson, prime Phil Jackson, and LeBron has had the only coach that could maybe come through is either Silas and Spoelstra. Other than those two, I mean,
now remember, he got Spo when he was young. He didn't get Spo.
Right. He didn't get Spo.
He got Spo in like year 4. That's the Spo he got. He didn't get Spo in year 15. He didn't get Spo way more than that. He got Spo when he was still, trying to get away from being a camera guy and being the video guy. He was the assistant.
He was the
assistant, and that's when James got him. But with that being said, anybody who knows me knows that my mantra, I still stand on this till this day. For every LeBron James, for every Magic, for every Michael Jordan, Them dudes don't exist without Horace Grant.
Nope.
Them dudes don't exist without AC Green.
Nope.
Them dudes don't exist without Udonis Haslam.
Yep.
None of
Alex
them dudes
Caruso. You know, all of those guys. Yeah.
They don't. They don't exist without those guys.
Yeah.
So I care and I value the guy who brings more than one thing.
Absolutely.
Don't get me wrong. I dig buckets. That's very entertaining. 100%.
Yeah. That's the name of the game.
I dig a guy who can get to the basket. I dig a guy who can dunk over the top of guys.
Yeah.
And Kyrie Irving. I dig those guys. But I value the guy. That's why I value the guy who does more, because that guy is going to contribute more to winning. But
that's why we see players like Jaden McDaniels getting $136 million. That would have never been the case back in 10 years ago.
For the record, they got him on the cheap.
Exactly. He could be upwards of 200. You know what I'm saying?
Wait till this contract run out.
You know what? Like, if he keep defending. Oh my gosh, OG, you know what's crazy about that too? Speaking about, just LeBron, it makes me sick that the Lakers drafted Jaden McDaniels. And they let him go.
Yes, I did. Yeah,
they let him go. And I'm like, this is exactly what they need. My last 2 points though, I wanted to add our players are very concerned with looking good, in my opinion, rather than actually playing good. There's not a lot of dogs. There's not a lot of dogs.
That's why the All-Star game is what it is today, because guys are afraid of getting shown up.
Exactly. Do you remember the video? I think it was the video that you made, and you talked about how I think there was a list of players that you named that you believed would still be playing ball if there was no NBA type thing.
Kevin Durant, if he worked in the post office, he'd still be at the rec league.
He'd still be at the rec league on his break.
100. Damian Lillard would have, if Damian Lillard was driving a truck or if he was working at a factory, you'd still catch him at the local gym. He would still be doing that because these guys are ballers.
I think that mentality is lacking, and I think that mentality, taking a step further from the superstars, is lacking. Because once you get that bag, especially if you've never had nothing, you have all of these other factors. You're worried about your brand. You're worried about your, taking everybody with you, or this person wants to borrow $5,000 from me. It's just a lot of stuff that it goes on in today's world. On top of that, I was just talking to my mom about this in a different aspect. But social media, I think people underestimate just how impactful social media is.
Powerful media, sure. Mm-hmm.
If during Jordan's era, even part of Kobe's era, there was social media, like we would talk about these guys a lot differently. Not in terms of their skill, but in terms of who we know them to be as people. And
I can tell you right now, before you go any further, Jordan would not have survived the social media era.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Derek Jeter is on record saying that if we had camera phones back then, he said he would have been out of the league in 3 years.
Absolutely. And it has nothing to do with a lack of skill. It has to do with mentality. What's in your heart? Mm-hmm. These guys, somebody like Isaac Okoro doesn't get mentioned a whole lot. I'm just thinking about the guys who are dogs. Colin Sexton, who prior to his injury, I've been a Colin Sexton fan since high school. Prior to his injury, I thought Colin Sexton was a surefire all-star, or at least deserved to be in the conversation.
Just so you know, over the last 6 or 7 games, he's averaging 20 a game off the bench.
But he's doing that with that dog mentality. You see, they got that viral video a couple of years back where he's defending and his eyes are wide open. Mm-hmm. These are guys that you are not. We're not valuing because of all of these other things. And then the last point that I had, my point number 5, was integrity. I feel like, especially when these guys get this money, they forget where they come from and what their story is. And once you get that money, it becomes about that versus being who you are, because money only is going to enhance who you are, in my personal opinion. If you're a bad person, if you are a bad person, if you like to spend a whole lot when you don't got a lot of money, well, you got a lot of money, now you can afford your bad spending habits. That's only going to enhance who you already are. It's not just the money, it's the women, it's the status, it's all of these things that are going to set them up, not only because basketball, Charles Barkley has the quote that basketball lasts for this long. The rest of your life is the whole span of that. So I think that these guys, that it's not to be, jumped at them, or they're not to be ridiculed for the fact that they're trying to make themselves have certain priorities that maybe extend outside the perimeters of basketball, but there has to be a balance. Why someone like a Draymond Green doing what he's been doing over the last 2 years, which Golden State is completely at fault for letting that go on, but that's another story for another time.
Right.
Why someone like Draymond Green doing what he has done this past season, being why it's so detrimental is when we talk about the dog mentality, when we talk about the junkyard dogs, when we talk about the go-getters, when we talk about these people that, if, like you said, if they was working at UPS at 12 o'clock when they break it, they go on to still play ball. Because somebody like Draymond, you're a face for the dogs. You're a 4-time champion as a result of being a dog.
Right.
You are a 4-time champion as a result of being able to take on the defensive assignments. You're a defensive player of the year winner. You know, like you came in and from Michigan and even from high school and all that, and you could shoot.
Right.
You know, you could do all of these different things. We saw that's the greatest game he ever played in his life. Was the game that mattered most. That game 7. I thought, for sure, watching live, that it was going to be Curry, Clay, your guys that you depend on to do those things, those specialists in those roles. It was not that. It was not those two guys, because Curry, as if you recall, really didn't get going like that. Right. It was Draymond just hitting all of these different shots. And so you clearly show that you have the potential.
Without Draymond's effort in that game, they smoked. They
Cleveland blows out Golden State in that game 7.
They smoked them.
They blow them out because as I don't know if you saw that clip or if you watched that JJ Redick podcast when Steph was on. Steph said it. He said, "I have never seen two guys in Kyrie and LeBron play at that level for 3 straight games. They were otherworldly. That's how good they were."
Yes,
so if it wasn't for Draymond coming in the way that he came in, it would have been a blowout.
Yes, they smoked.
And so I'm saying that to say that they could have, in my opinion, most definitely, he's shown that he has the ability to score. He's shown that he has the ability to be above average. He's shown that he is an NBA player. But he chose to focus on being complete. He chose to focus on doing what he needed to do for his team to win. And it's unfortunate because when you're out here hurting players, when you're out here putting people in harm's way, when you're out here, and not to mention the flack that you get, that your organization gets, as a result of you doing those types of things, because the NBA is still a business.
Yeah.
You know why it's because now it's even more uninspiring. I have this running joke with my friends. I said, if Patrick Beverley was redrafted today, he probably wouldn't make the league. If PJ Tucker was redrafted today, he would not make the league.
No,
because these guys are not, and it's like,
they're not valued. They're not valued. But with that being said, to your point, a guy like Draymond Green, it's like anything, my man. When it was good, oh man, it was good.
Right.
But I think we're past that now, and it's not good anymore.
Yeah,
and because it's not good anymore, his value is lost.
It's dwindled. Now we got you on trade talks. All
right, brother. It's good to talk to you, my man. I appreciate you. Absolutely. I have to really quickly address this right here. I'm sorry. MJ would survive in this era, my guy. Edward, just so you know, let me tell you what you're listening to. You're listening to MJ's game. That's what you're listening to. You're not listening to anything else. You're listening to MJ as the player. You forget, because I was around when MJ was running around. What do you think the logic is today? Okay? Today. What's the logic on Michael Jordan? What's the logic on Michael Jordan today if this morning we turned on Sports Center? I ain't even gonna say, I'm not even gonna say Jordan. How about I say Kawhi Leonard? Kawhi Leonard being the quiet, the image that Kawhi Leonard is, and he's the guy who we really don't know him. We just know what we see on TV. We don't really know him like that, right? We don't really know much about him. What's the logic on Kawhi Leonard if you turned on Sports Center this morning and found out that he punched Norman Powell in the face in practice yesterday? What's the logic on him? How are we talking about him? If what happened with Jordan Poole and Draymond Green, what's the logic on Kawhi Leonard today if we found out that he did that in practice yesterday to Norman Powell? How are we talking about him? Because I can tell you how we're not talking about him. He's not uninteresting anymore. I can tell you that for a fact. He's not quiet anymore. That's not going on. I'm sure of that. So you looking at it from the aspect of his game. I'm not looking at it from the aspect of his game. Jay was a very private person. There's a lot of stuff that we didn't find out about Jordan until after Jordan was gone. Plenty of stuff that we didn't know about him until after he was gone, and a lot of this stuff came out. Like, we didn't know that Jay was a jack-off to his teammates. We didn't know that. We didn't know that in 1997. Even though a book came out, we kind of scoffed at it because, you know, it's Jordan. But then later on, you go, damn, yo, Mike really was kind of a foul dude. He really wasn't like that. So imagine amplifying that times 10. Put a camera in Jay's face all the time. And I don't just mean at the arena. I mean catch him at the grocery store, catch him out with his chick, catch him out with his boys, catch him out having a beer, catch him out doing all of this stuff. Let's see how he acts. I don't think he would have survived. It would have been very difficult for him. Very difficult. What up?
Yo, what up, Chill?
What up, brother?
Man, you know that last brother you just had on, man, he was spot on a lot of points. A lot of the NBA players, they don't play defense because it's not sexy, it doesn't get the highlights, and it takes effort. And a lot of players in today's game, they don't want to put forth that effort and possibly look bad. So forget that. I'm just going to try to outscore you instead of trying to stop you. And the other thing,
I'm scared of getting shown up, right?
Exactly.
So I don't really want to fight you. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna throw a bunch of wild punches and hope you quit.
Exactly.
I actually want to get in the ring and get it on with you and actually get into it. And now I got to match skills, and now you outplay me. I don't want to get into that because now that eats at the fiber of who I am. When in reality, ain't that what this is? This is competition.
It's competition. And, you know, everybody's worried about their brand and all of that. And it's made the game marketable, but in my opinion, it's kind of watered down the level of competition.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
100%. And the other big thing is, I don't know, Chill, if you've been to any recent like AAU games or high school games. I got kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm watching these games. I'm like, man, these kids ain't playing no defense, man. They just running up and down the court. And my nephew, he's a coach, and he says every time he kind of has to go hard on some of the players. He's an AAU coach, and he says, man, I can't really coach them hard because the first thing they're gonna say is, man, forget this. I'll just go to another team. Instead of like the young man before me said, okay, coach, you said I ain't got it. I'm gonna work on it. I'm gonna make myself better.
I'm gonna show it to you.
I'm gonna show it to you. I don't think a lot of the players, even in the NBA, the older players, I think a lot of them still have that mentality. But a lot of these guys coming in now, Chill, they've been babied. They don't have they have the skill, but they don't have the IQ. I don't know if you
or minor. How about they don't have the fight?
Yeah.
How about that? I mean, if we're being honest, like I just said, to get in the middle of the ring, and now you got to show me your skills. You got to show me your skills. It's not just I'm gonna punch you, you punch me. No, you're gonna swing on me, and I'm gonna make you miss. And I'm gonna swing on you, and I'm gonna hit you.
Yeah, I think back to that.
And because of that, these guys are afraid to be shown up. Let me ask you a question, Minor. Since you've been watching the game and recently, do we have any rivalries in terms of players? Do we really like Bird and Magic, like the Knicks and the Bulls? Do we have any of those things?
I would say maybe probably the last good rivalry was LeBron versus the Warriors. That might be the last great rivalry in the NBA.
It was
I
turning
don't think
into
it.
something. I feel like it was
Yeah,
turning into that. I do.
I don't think anybody is considering Joel Embiid and Jokic as a rivalry because they've never met in the finals.
Yeah.
They don't play in the same conference. Um, I don't think, like I said, I don't think that level of passion and competition is just not there. And again, going back to what I was saying about just the details of the game, that game where Steph went off on the Celtics in the fourth quarter, Steph got 5 fouls. If this had been, if this was 90s, the 90s, ain't no way Steph playing that whole fourth quarter. It's
Or the
no way.
2000s, or the 2000s,
Or the 2000s.
or 5 years ago. You think Kawhi Leonard, this dude got 5 fouls? You think Toronto was letting him off the hook?
No way.
No way.
It's no way.
Well, we tried to go after him. No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
No.
No, you did not. No, you did not. You did not try to go after him. There was no way that a guy picks up his 5th foul in the middle of the third quarter and you try to go after him for the rest of the game and he stays on the floor for the entire fourth quarter, minor, and the overtime. You didn't go after him. No, you didn't.
And he was cooking them. He was cooking them. You got to go after. I was screaming at my television.
I don't care what we running. Go after him, yo.
Yeah,
go after him. Get him in roll. Get him in switch.
Yeah,
something is going to happen where we're going to go after him, and we're going to continue to go after him. If we don't get him now, we're going to get him eventually. But don't let him off the hook. And y'all let him off the hook. You did.
Yeah, I think when you look at I guess when you say complete, I'm assuming you mean two-way players. It's not the ones that I think of. They're not glorified in the NBA. Jimmy Butler, Mikal Bridges, Kawhi Leonard. If I say any of those names, none of those are top 10 players.
Right.
None of them are get the appeal of somebody like even Trae Young, who he's more just buckets, but he's terrible on the defensive end. But he's buckets.
Yeah, he's giving better
this
effort.
Season, yes.
He's actually giving better effort. Yes, he has. Just like Luka is giving better effort. Luka isn't as
absolutely.
Bad as he's giving
Absolutely.
100%.
But I just don't think the appeal to play defense is there. And so it's going to take one of those kind of players to kind of reset the league so that it's more appealing.
Right.
Until then, it's going to be about buckets, chill. And I don't see any players coming in. I don't see any players in college that are coming up. I don't see it changing anytime soon, chill. I know you say you're not going to live to see somebody be like LeBron. I don't know if we're going to see another great two-way player in our lifetime, man. I don't see it.
I hope that ain't true. I really hope that's not true, bro. I really hope that's not true. I really hope that is not. I hope that the last great two-way player that I saw was Kawhi Leonard and LeBron James. I hope that that's not true. I really hope that's not true, dude. I do. So, Mine, I gotta go, brother. Good to talk to you, my man. Absolutely, absolutely, my man. So, I'm just saying, yo. What up, Jay? I just hope that that's not true. I really do. I hope that that's not true. What up, brother?
How you doing, brother? I'm sorry,
brother.
Just got off work and I've been trust me, I'm hearing what you're saying because I'm like I said, I'm a 91 kid, so I grew up around still watching seeing Kobe and Shaq team up on the Lakers to actually get W's. And honestly, when they won rings, they look like I would say this. When you said about complete player, I'm thinking a dude like a guy who is a complete player but has the perfect probably two men next to him. Like you would say Michael and Pippen. I'll probably, he was the two man. Like if you need to get a bucket, like I said, if MJ can get a bucket, he would rely on Scotty to take up the shot, if anything. But still, Michael's still the complete player. And like for me, it was Kobe and Shaq. Now I always hear this is always debatable. Kobe would get into the paint and sink people. He would even argue that with his coach, be like, "Yo, man, we're gonna need you to start taking threes." I'm like, bro, I'm going to go into the paint and get buckets, bro, because this is my playing style of what I'm good at. Now, and Shaq was dominant in the post. Like no one, honestly, he was bullying people as far as I can see from when I was a kid. So my thing is, I think that's a complete duo. of players like who work really well together. Like I said, I don't think Shaq is a complete player. I think Shaq is a dominant inside guy who uses his size effectively to beat up bigger guys taller than him. Like his duels with Yao Ming. I remember that. And Yao Ming's taller, and like he just had more muscle on him. So I think today with this league, I mean, besides LeBron James, because I've always thought LeBron James was a complete player, but he grew to me. Every team, I won't say every team he went to, but majority, I think from being on the Cavs where he started to going to the Heat and learning from Dwayne Wade in that actual organization of Miami made him a more complete player. Because that 2016 that brother was just spitting earlier, I actually agree. I'm like, dude, I think that's the best we've seen of LeBron James personally. I think that's him at his zenith. Where like, dude, him and Kyrie went crazy, nuclear. That and that's probably one I've always said that's his most valuable ring. But what LeBron has showed you from that leadership from Miami is that he can lead a team of it. He could lead a team like the Cavs and have those guys on the squad and lead them. But they each one of them know their role though. Chilltwn, like I said, because he's the complete player on the team, but Kyrie is his 2-man.
Right. Now with Shaq, for the record, Shaq actually was elite on the defensive side of the basketball. A lot of people
he was defensive.
Shaq, people don't give Shaq nearly as much credit for him being the defensive player that he was. Shaq finished second in defensive player of the year in the 99-2000 season. He lost out to Alonzo Mourning, but he was an all-league defender. Shaq was an elite rebounder. Even though he never led the league in rebounding, he played at that level. So he did do that on both sides of the basketball. The thing that I think about when I value the complete player, the reason why I value the complete player is because the complete player, he contributes more to winning. If you think about the great players of the past, James, Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis this recently, Anthony Davis is a complete player. He scores the basketball and is elite on the defensive side of the basketball. So I just feel like the complete player, the more well-rounded player, he's more important to winning. And why he isn't valued more, I do understand it, because I know that in today's game, buckets are what matters. The eye tests, all of that stuff matters. Nobody really cares about or pays much attention to a guy getting down in the stance and beating a guy to a spot, which is what I watched last night when I watched Jason Tatum and SGA. That was a big deal watching him beat SGA to spots and making him get off the basketball and redirecting him and making him take tough shots that he couldn't make. People don't value that, even though that stuff leads to winning more times than it doesn't. Can't hear you, brother. You muted. I had you a second ago, but you muted.
Oh, can you hear me now?
You hot.
I hit this thing. Sorry, but I was going to say I think you would agree with this. This is even when the Super Bowl comes around. Defense wins championships.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in the NBA Finals, and it's just like I tell people, it doesn't matter how much of an explosive offense you have. If you can't stop the other team from scoring, if their team is keeping you from scoring, then your scoring doesn't mean anything. You have to have great defense, and you have to have great team coordination and great teamwork. And you got to be able to beat people in the post and guard your man. That now I know how much of an advocate you are for Jason Tatum, and also, by the way, I do like Jason Tatum. I think Jason Tatum has the talent to be one of the best ball handlers ever that I've seen. And also his, like I said, because his skill and talent is definitely there. I think, and like I said, the brother wants to win. I can see it in him because, like I said, because I think your team actually has a good chance of winning this year. I'm actually secretly rooting for y'all because you got Porzingis.
I'm not a Boston Celtics fan. I'm more of a team guy than I am. I'm more of a player guy. I'm more of a player guy than I am a team guy now because these guys move around so much. So it's hard to really follow teams because these guys aren't there long, with the exception of what they've been doing in Boston. But I dig Jason Tatum. I'm a big time Jason Tatum fan. I am.
No, definitely, brother. And the thing is, with how teams function, it's just a matter of like what you have to see what works for you. What works with these players? Like I said, are you working hand in hand with Tatum? Are you working hand in hand with Derek White? Shout out to Derek White. That cat is balling out of his mind ever since last year. I don't know why. The man's doing great stuff. And it's just like team coordination is key. One of the most things that's kind of like underrated to me, because I actually didn't know they played in the finals until 2020, until it was late because they were playing against the Lakers, was the Miami Heat. the fact that they can play that good team ball, getting up to there, with people actually said like, "Yo, dude, their coordination is rocking." All these old veterans like Iguodala, Jay Crowder, you get these cats playing off of Jimmy, playing off of Hero, playing off of Bam, and they're shooting the blocks off, and I'm like, that was good basketball, but they're still playing defense and offense. It's just more tougher for them to get a shot off when they're being contested. But that's the beauty and the passion of the sport for me. When you put in defense on some dude, where like, I know this guy was bigger than me, but I'm still gonna try to get a shot off on him, regardless of anything. Either I'm gonna take the challenge or I'm gonna run away and and let the other guys try to handle it. Or I can like be a man and be like, yo, listen, I got to prove I'm the best player on the court, and this is what I got to do. And there's sometimes where those players, like you said, a complete player, I think he has to do that in order to become a complete player. Personally, for me, he has to stare the big dog in his face in order to like really be the best. And I think Luka, probably the guy you're thinking of, I think Luka might be on that trajectory, because I've been watching him play short, saying like he doesn't have too many things that what else we need to work on besides just good defense. I think his scoring is crazy to me. Also, how he's able to his pick and rolls, the way he's able his assists, the way he's able to pass the ball off of just doing crazy shots like that. Like, it's crazy. He's doing magician Tom Brady stuff. Yes, and I'm like, dude, Luka, like, and Luka's like, what? How old is Luka? He's like
23, 24, 23, 24. Yeah, 23 or 24.
And listen, he still has plenty of time to grow. But I'm thinking like, well, how more can he grow though? Like, really, I think all he needs is really good defense after that, and then he's gonna be a freaking something that's gonna like no one can contain. And I think like other players, like maybe like Shah, and like I think the younger cats are gonna be the one that's gonna be herald in the new generation, similar to Wemby and all of them. Because the thing is, I think they still need time to grow. Like Donovan Mitchell, for example, because I want to stay here too long, but I want to say this. But Donovan Mitchell, he has the potential to grow, but it's not like Tatum to me when I see it. I think what's holding him back is probably a self-confidence issue thing with him, because for me, he can shoot.
No, I don't think I think one of the main reasons that we have one of the main reasons, and I gotta go, but one of the main reasons why Donovan Mitchell is who he is, because he's got so much confidence, because he's a smaller guy. Donovan Mitchell ain't 6'5".
Yeah, he is smaller. He's
a small guy, so there's no way you can rock like that and not have confidence. And he's got an immense amount of confidence. He's just had some, unfortunate situations. Don't get me wrong, man. Yo, it's hard to win in this damn league. It is hard to win. It is hard to win. That's why I salute these guys, James, Jordan, Magic, Bryant. Because when you winning, when you going up against great talent and you continuously doing it, man, it's difficult. But good to talk to you, though, Jay. I appreciate you, brother. Absolutely. What up?
What up, Joe? Can you hear me?
What up, brother?
Yeah, no, I think I agree with some of the people who've called in have said about playing defense, but I also think that playing defense is hard. And I think one of the things is a lot of players early can work out where the deficiencies are in their game, and you can see how they play. And I think a lot of them know, I don't have the lateral quickness to keep in front of this guy. I don't have the lateral quickness or the ability to stay in front of somebody. And I also think the other issue in playing defense, especially as a complete player, well, I say this, in playing defense in general, the problem with playing defense is that when we have great defenders, the contrast of being a good defender versus an elite defender is too big, versus being a decent offensive player versus a good offense player, or even being a good offense player to a great offensive or elite offensive player. I'll give an example of Anthony Davis. I think Anthony Davis is an elite defensive player. I only think he's a good offensive player. But to me, somebody has told him that he needs to play on offense more.
Stop right there. Now, good offensive player or good scorer?
I think Anthony Davis is, that's a good question. I think Anthony Davis is a solid offensive player and a good scorer. Yeah, I think Anthony Davis has too many deficiencies offensively to me to be a good offensive player. I think he's solid as a scorer.
He's not elite. He's not Joker. He's not Elijah
no,
Wan. He's not Shaq. No, I'm not. We're not going that far.
Struggles to pass at the double team, everything like that. So those are the things that I would say that's the problem. And I think what happens is as well is that when you get guys like Anthony Davis, you have to have him balance out what he's good at. And I think he's great, an elite, all-time great at defense. I think he prefers to play offense. It's easy on his body. It's more fun. And I think that's another thing as well. Playing offense is fun. I think for a lot of players, scoring the ball is fun. I think you have to have a certain mentality to kind of play defense and then say, I'm going to stick to this, especially when we know defensive players, one, don't get the adulation. There's only a few players in NBA history that have ever got praise for being great defensive players. That's really Dennis Rodman and Bill Russell.
Well, you just brought it up, my man, when you said the mentality. You got to be wired different. You got to be wired different as a defender to want this to be your mantra. Your mentality has to be a lot different to go, hey, you score the rest of the points, I'll deal with him.
I mean, Bill Russell's on record of saying that he used to vomit after every game. I mean, this guy is, you're not wired correctly.
Yeah,
so
you gotta be wired different. Yeah,
you gotta be wired, and also I think as well, if you look at how these defensive players go out, well, first of all, as well, another thing as well, they don't make as much money. Defensive players, they don't. When you're a great defensive player, you don't make as much money as a great offensive player.
Because that's not sexy. It's not. It's not. It's like the offensive lineman in football. That's who it is. It's like the fullback, right? He's the dirty work guy. He's not the guy. Even though Amari, he may be arguably more valuable.
Yes,
because we're not going anywhere without these front four guys blocking.
No,
Tom Brady's not able to stand in the pocket if these dudes up front ain't blocking, right? But, Roger Craig is not able to run if Tom Rathman ain't blocking for him as a fullback. That's not happening. So with that being said, these guys may be more valuable in some instances. They are,
and I think they are valuable. But I also think now, if you're going to talk about, like I said, if you're going to talk about defense in general, those guys are valuable. But I think the problem with those guys, and I think a lot of players recognize this, damn, like if I'm scoring 8 points a game and I'm playing good defense on some nights, the discrepancy of me being in the league isn't that great for me. Like for example, look at something like Jared Vanderbilt. There's a potential if Jared Vanderbilt doesn't sort out his offense and how much of an offensive liability he is, as great as he's on defense, he's going to be on the bench and he's going to be out of the league. That is quite a big thing for a lot of these players, that they want to obviously stay in the league and make a lot of money.
Of course.
But then when you're talking about the complete players, now with the complete players, you're talking about, people like Kawhi, LeBron, KD. I just think when you look at it, depending on what kind of engine and how they play, it takes a lot out of them to play defense. And I think when you look at most of these players, all of the great players, to be honest, they only really play defense in their absolute prime. So you look at LeBron, 6 years. He still plays defense. He just can't do it as much. And I think what happens is that they start to transition the load into things that they're better at and that will preserve their bodies.
Which is fair. Absolutely, that's fair. But where you lose me at, Amari, is you lose me when you say these guys, it's hard to play defense and be an elite scorer, so they can't do it. Actually, they can, and that's where you have guys. The reason why Michael Jordan was as good as he was defensively, because he had Scottie to take the load off of him. The reason why Jason Tatum can be better defensively, because he's got a guy in Drew Holiday. And the reason why Drew Holiday can last a little bit longer, because he's got a guy like Jason Tatum. Some of the best defenders, Hakeem Olajuwon. The reason why Olajuwon was as good as he was defensively, it's not just because he was a great rim protector. It's not because he had great footwork. It's not because he was tough as nails. No, he had other dirty work guys like Otis Thorpe around him that made him that were able to allow him to block shots. He had great perimeter play. He had great perimeter defenders around him, like Rodney McCray, who was an all-league defender, who made life less difficult for him. When you lean on these guys, you can play at that level for a long time, as opposed to, I'm the only one out here that I got to play offense and defense. Yeah. There's nobody else that's going to do that. Then, okay, sure, you're asking a lot. But when you have that, when you have another guy, when you have a team of guys, it's completely different, man. That's why I value a guy like Kawhi Leonard. because he did running with Tim Duncan, who was over, by the way, when Kawhi Leonard became elite.
But San Antonio had a good understanding of team defense as well. So I do believe that helped. I do think a lot of these teams and a lot of these players don't necessarily play defense. And I think the defensive player has been replaced with the 3 and D. And sometimes with some 3 and D players, it's 3 and no D. Like it depends on what these players have been kind of deployed to do. Now, I think when you give the example of Scottie Pippen, and even give the example of Kobe Bryant, for example, playing with Shaq. Now, Kobe Bryant was an elite wing defender, same with Scottie Pippen. But I think also at the same time, you have to have the main man play defense. Like Shaq did, I think Shaq did make All NBA, second team? I think 99, 2000. I think he made both. Maybe I think that might have been his peak. Made it 3 times. So like Shaq did this in his absolute prime to play defense. And I think the problem is that with a lot of players is that, first of all, a lot of teams don't have that kind of complete player playing beside them. And when you get them, it depends on how long you have them. Like Jason Tatum basically has Drew Holiday for about 2 years. Like Drew Holiday, I don't know how long Drew Holiday can keep playing like this, but even his offense has gone down. So it's even how much he can produce on the other side. Now, Scottie Pippen was an elite defensive player, but obviously his production did go down in the playoffs because he had to focus on defending. But Michael Jordan's production went up. So I think it does have to balance the load of who can help you. But I do think, again, it's just hard. Like, I think everybody's saying it's about the dog mentality. I think to a certain degree, you have to have a mentality of defending. But I also think at the same time, it's like you tangibly have to think about, I think also as well, like again, with being a good defender, how good of a defender are you really? And I think there's guys who are just hustle guys, like Alvarado from New Orleans. He's a hustle guy. But that doesn't necessarily qualify him to be a good defender.
There's a difference between a defender and an energy guy. Those two things are not the same. Okay, that's fair. Yes.
And you have to evaluate as a player on the opposing team, how can you stop this guy in front of me? And I think a lot of them look at these other guys and say, nah, I can't do that. I can't stop this guy. So there's just no point of me over-exerting energy as the number one man, to be honest. And that's the same issue that Miami had with Giannis when they wanted to put Giannis on Jimmy Butler. You put in Giannis on Jimmy. Can Giannis stop Jimmy Butler? I don't know if he can. You can try it. It might work. Maybe Giannis needs to take the challenge to do that. I think he should have taken the challenge to see if he can, rather than then saying the coach told me not to. But I also think at the same time, Giannis tangibly has an understanding that I need to run the rest of this team. So if I'm failing on defense and I'm getting hunted and they find out that I'm a mismatch, they're gonna hunt me and they're gonna keep doing it. And it's the same point. And you have a responsibility as a player on the ball so much to defend the ball. Like you have the ball all the time, why don't you defend it? And I do agree that they should prioritize defense. But again, something like Luka Doncic, he's physically limited. So you are going to get past him. It doesn't matter if he tries. If you are faster than him or you're bigger than him, you're going to get past him. There's no point of him exerting that much effort. And I think, again, a lot of these players, I'm just going to make a final point, but one of the prime players that decided that they was going to go to offense over defense was Paul George. Paul George has all the defensive tools to be a great defensive player.
He was an all-league defender.
He was in the Indiana days.
In Oklahoma City, too. He was first team all-defense in Oklahoma City.
So if you look at, was he in the Clippers? He hasn't made an defensive team with the Clippers.
No, he didn't. But in Oklahoma City, he was first team all-defense. Yes, he was.
And he was a good defender in OKC. And I think one of the issues is that, again, when you have these guys who are complete players, how much of defense do coaches and basketball fans believe that defense makes up of a complete player? Because if there's passing, if there's scoring, there's rebounding. I need to be at least good at scoring if I'm going to have the ball a lot. If I'm going to be good, I'm going to have to be a somewhat decent rebounder and a somewhat decent passer. The gap of making me a good, complete player and playing defense doesn't have to be that high. I just have to kind of just stay in front of my man and then do my job. And I think LeBron James worked that out later in his career. He kind of just has to stay in front of something. He doesn't have to be a liability. Steph doesn't have to be a liability to be a complete player. I think these guys have worked these things out. And I think a lot of these coaches tell these players, you're good at offense. It's like, you're not, just do defense. You could play defense longer and you could probably be a better player, but there's no glory in it. It's all guts and no glory of defense.
That's exactly what it is.
You don't get any joy out of it.
Absolutely. Good to talk to you, brother. You know where to find me at. Absolutely, my man. Yes, sir. Yeah. That's really good, man. That is, because I just have a difficult time with this stuff, man. I do. Like, this dude just asked me a question: is Jason Tatum better than peak Paul George? What? Is Jason Tatum better than peak Paul George? Is that what you just asked me? I want to make sure that I heard correctly. Is Jason Tatum better than peak Paul George? Did I hear that correctly? Because, number one, have we seen peak Jason Tatum? Have we seen peak Jason Tatum? We haven't even seen peak Jason Tatum. Have we? I know I have not seen peak Jason Tatum yet. I haven't. No, I have not seen peak Jason Tatum. So how am I going to compare peak Paul George to a guy? How am I going to compare Paul George to a guy who I haven't seen at his peak yet? I haven't seen Jason Tatum. He's in year 6. This ain't his peak. What are y'all talking about? Like this right here, this dude, he peaked in 2022, and I'll die on that hill. Even though last year was a career year for him. He averaged 30 a game and 8. Never did that. But 2 years ago was his peak. Why do you want to talk basketball with me? Why? Can you explain to me why you want to talk basketball with me when in reality, all you really are is a hater? You really don't want to talk basketball. You don't. So I'm not going to talk basketball with you. I'm good, B. I'm straight. Absolutely not. What up?
What up, Chill? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you hot.
All right, so just stay with me now. I think that as far as eras go, I feel like that it's not bad defense being played in this era. I feel like that, like say for instance, in the '90s and the early 2000s, you had maybe 2 dudes on the court that can get you a bucket at any time. But now in these days, you got maybe 4. So in these days, you can't just have a man that's out there for strictly defense because you're gonna get ran off the court because of your buckets. You can't get no buckets. You know what I'm saying? So, and I looked at I was born in '93, so I looked at I seen some tape from the '90s. The defense in the '90s is, I believe, it's overrated because of the simple fact, like I said, you only had 2 real bucket getters on the court at the same time.
Right.
And then on top of that, the defense that you was allowed to play was a lot different. You couldn't in the ISO, you couldn't have your man, and then you couldn't have your big man or whatever come shade to the ISO side. He had to stay over there where his man was at. You know what I'm saying?
The whole side of the floor was cleaned out. It was just It's just you and me over there. That's it. Ain't nobody else over there but you and me. Nobody.
It's just one-on-one defense.
Right.
And then on top of that, I feel like in today's game, the skill level of the players today is exponentially higher than what it was back in the day. Maybe not at the top end, but from 1 to 15, the offensive skill is super higher than it was back in the day.
So in your estimation, it ain't even close what the skill level is.
Not 1 to 15, no. At the top end, yes. Your top, let's say your top 3 to 5 players,
right,
you can make an argument that it's equal from now to the eras in the past.
But from a team standpoint, it's not even close.
Not even close.
Well,
I would say, in my estimation, you can tell me what you think on it, but I would say, in my estimation, the 7th man in the rotation today could be a starter in the '90s, just simply based off of on the offensive end of the floor.
Now, who is he? Now, when you say a starter, because I could say the same thing from the '90s. I could say the same thing from the 2000s. That, don't forget Rick Fox and that '99 2000 NBA championship team. Rick Fox was a rotation player on that team. He wasn't a starter. Rick Fox starts for the Houston Rockets today. Dylan Brooks comes out of that lineup. Rick Fox is starting. 100%.
But I agree with that, but that's because Rick Fox was in today's game, he would be a 3-and-D player. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And we have a bunch of DN3 players back then.
Okay, but the 3-ball wasn't as prolific as it is now.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because that's the same logic that you're giving me with how much better the athlete is, right? How much better the skill set is. So wouldn't that translate to today's game? Because in today's game, I'm still a great athlete. I mean, Kenny Smith could dunk the ball backwards off the backboard. He was in the dunk contest in 1990. That was 34 years ago. With that being said, as a great athlete, I'm playing today. I'd like to think that my skill set as a defender has evolved. And more times than not, these guys that play on these teams that are quote unquote dirty work guys, they could score. Just so you know, Dennis Rodman averaged 26 a game in college. Dennis Rodman was not just a defender in the league. He chose to be that. He could have very well been a scorer when he got to the NBA. He averaged 26 a game in college. But he decided to be a dirty work guy because, okay, this is who I am. And that's fine. So when I think about guys from back then, when I think about guys from the 90s, or earlier in those times, dirty work guys, they were that because that's what the role entailed. Because with a guy like, I mean, Bill Cartwright averaged 26. I think Bill Cartwright's senior year in college, he averaged 26 a game. Everybody could score. It's just a matter of me deciding to do something different, as opposed to today, everybody can score, and it's a scoring league. And because it's a scoring league, that's what's on display.
I don't necessarily think that's true. Just like you said with Dennis Rodman, Patrick Beverly was a 30-point per game scorer in high school and a 20-something point per game scorer in college. But when he get to the league today, he has to submit to his role to be able to stay in the league.
Right.
That's just what it is. And
now, does that mean, now before you go any further, and I want you to keep going, does that mean that his game couldn't translate, or he decided, okay, I'm going to do this in order to stay? I could score. I could get downhill because ain't nobody really defending like that anyway. I could do that, but this is what's going to keep me in the league. Is that fair?
I feel like you got a point saying that that's what keeps him in the league, but at the same time, it's common knowledge that from high school to pro, or high school to college to pro, the athleticism change is incremental to each one. Correct?
No,
exactly. So Patrick Beverly being an elite athlete in high school and college is a lot different when he get to where everybody's an elite athlete in the pros.
Mm-hmm.
And
everybody can run fast and jump high up here. Everybody can do that. You ain't the only one up here who can do that. Everybody up there can do that.
And then the other point I wanted to make. So as far as the defense in this era, like I was saying, the offense is much greater. Like, it's not defense. Defense does not exclusively win you championships in today's era. Now, I feel like say for instance, back when you had the Golden State Warriors and the Cleveland Cavaliers, when they had Durant, the two finals they played back to back. Game three in both of them, Durant come down and hit a three in crunch time. Well, I ain't gonna say in crunch time, but in a swing moment in the game. LeBron all in his grill, but it's cash money. These players today are so much more talented and so much more skilled that they are, as you say, they are bad shot takers, but they're not bad shots for them guys. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So they make these bad shots. They make these bad shots at such a higher rate than in the past that it could be good defense, but the offense is so good it beats the good defense.
Fair. Absolutely, it's fair. Now, with that being said, let me put something on your mind real quick. So you know, last year the Denver Nuggets, they had a top 10 defense in the league. Last year, they were a top 10 defense. The Golden State Warriors, when they won it in 2022, it was third in the league in defense. So I'm not negating how good offense is, but at some point, we have to stop you. In order for us to win, it can't be bucket for bucket. That's not the way this is going to go if we're going to win. We got to hunker down as a unit, and we got to stop you. Now, you talking about Kevin Durant cracking a 30 or cracking a 25-footer in James' face. I mean, how often is that happening? I mean, that's not happening often.
I mean, he
That's
did
not
it
happening often.
he did it 2 years back to back in
Well,
the
he
finals.
didn't actually. He didn't do it 2 years back to back. That Golden State. This is what you leaving out too. You leaving out the fact that Cleveland Cavaliers team, they had a good defense.
They
Golden
did.
State Warriors. I believe that year the Golden State Warriors had the 8th best defense in the league that year. They also had a top 10 defense.
That's
and
correct.
they're going against a dude in James. I think James averaged 34 games in them finals. So
But
as good as he was as an offensive player, as good as Kyrie Irving was as an offensive player, we have to slow you down. And how are we doing that? Steph Curry is sticking his nose in there and getting rebounds. Steph Curry averaged 10 rebounds in that series. That's a big deal when my point guard is helping us hold you to one shot. That stuff matters. Now, don't get me wrong, Biggs. This offensive juggernaut of a league that we are in today, yes, it is absolutely that. But we have to get to a point as a defense where I'm going to make it as difficult as possible on you. Don't get me wrong. Great offense sometimes beats better defense, but more times than not, we are going to hold you down if we're going to win. And the best teams in the league, when they've won it, they've done that. That's not my opinion. That's a fact.
That was going to be my final point, though, Chill. What I'm getting to is one-on-one defense wins you nothing in today's league. That's not going to get you there. Team defense, you're 100% right. One-on-one defense it's not going to hold up. Eventually they're going to break because of the simple fact that the offense is so much. The offense is at such a high level. The level of shot making is so high. Mm-hmm. When you need to stop team defense is going to get it to you. It's not going to be one-on-one defense. 9 times out of 10, the man's going to beat his first guy. You got to have somebody come across the back. And then, like you said, okay, you talking about the Lakers and the Nuggets this past year. How about them big shots that the one that Jokic made when it was all behind his head, and the one that Bird made? Perfect defense, man. Perfect defense. What you do today?
See Anthony Davis looking at him like, really? Come on.
What do you do for that? It's nothing you can do.
You tip your hat and go. If that's what if you're gonna make that all night, hats off to you, 100%. But as a defender, I know how much more confidence I had when I got guys who got my back. I know how much more confidence I have as a one-on-one defender when I know that it's like a fight, Biggs. You're Biggs. You swing on them. Once you swing on them, we jumping in.
Yeah, how
much more confidence do you have if I tell you swing on them, we jumping in? As soon as you swing on them, you definitely down now. Well,
I agree.
That's the idea when we're talking about defenders. When we're talking about a guy in Drew Holiday, who I'm still pissed off to this day that they left him out there on the island with Jimmy Butler. I'm pissed about that, man. Don't leave him out there like that. I equate that to Rocky Balboa leaving Apollo Creed in the ring and that Russian beating him up. You're just going to leave him out there to get beat up like that. Don't do that. No. And the Boston Celtics are looking at Drew Holiday to let him know, you don't have to do this by yourself, B. We will help you. Jason Tatum proved that last night when he shut the door on SGA in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You making my point for me. It ain't in the 90s the one-on-one defense rule today. In today's game, it has to be team defense.
Well, you got to remember that the offense has changed too. So it's not.
Yes.
It wasn't the 90s where we throwing the ball into the big guy and we operating off of him solely on the box and we standing around and we watching. No, that's not the way. First of all, the game is a lot more open because the guy's shooting the long ball. The game is a lot faster, right? The game is a lot faster because not only are guys shooting the long ball, guys are getting up the floor faster. The ball's moving faster. So with all of that being said, it is a little bit more difficult to guard one-on-one. We have to, as a crew, get together and guard. But you do have damn good one-on-one defenders. Alex Caruso is a damn good one-on-one defender.
You're right.
Damn good one-on-one defender. Kawhi Leonard still plays he's not Kawhi Leonard 3 years ago. He's not Kawhi Leonard 5 years ago. But he still can defend at a high level. But that's largely due to the crew I'm on. 100% it is. Now, the complete player that I talk about, I could still be that with the help of these guys more today than I could back then because one-on-one defense was more valuable back then.
Yeah, I agree. But the main difference in my eyes is you can't just throw it to LeBron and he can ISO on one side of the court. And he know ain't nobody coming.
Can't do
Back
that
in
no
the
more.
back in the day, you can get to Jordan on the wing. You out there on the island. He ain't got no help. Ain't nobody sending no rowboat to come get you. If he get you, he get past you.
And ain't
it's over.
nobody fast enough to come over and help you. Because if
Nope.
he's 17 feet away from the basket and the whole left side of the floor is cleaned out, once he get that step on you, that big man can't get over there. He can't.
Nah, it's a wrap. It's a
He
wrap.
can't get over there. So, Biggs, good to talk to you, brother. You know where to find me at when you need me.
Appreciate it, OG.
All right, brother. Out. Damn. This is good stuff, boy. Let me tell you. This is damn good stuff. So, it's about that time for me, guys. It was good to see you tonight. I know you guys have been wondering, and don't worry, it's happening. Don't worry, it's happening. I do have a super chat that I got to get to. I don't forget the super chats. Green asked me, can Kawhi end up top 15 all time? What has to happen? Top 15 all time? No. And the reason why is because winning isn't the only thing that matters. Winning does matter. 100% it does. But winning isn't the only thing that matters. You do have to do the other stuff too. The other stuff matters too. Winning league MVPs, being an all NBA performer, all of that good stuff matters. In addition to being a winner, you got to do all of that other stuff. You know that Scottie Pippen got more all-league defense. He's got more first-team all-league defensive nods than Kawhi Leonard has all-league defensive nods. Scottie Pippen has been on the first-team all-NBA defensive team more than Kawhi Leonard has been on the all-league defensive team overall. So when I'm thinking about a dude being a top 15 player, what's your criteria for him being a top 15 player? Is it just winning? And did he play enough? No, he didn't play enough in order to be top 15. I think that's asking a lot, brother. I think that's asking a whole lot. I don't think I'm there with him. But it was great to see you guys tonight. You know what time it is when you see me. We're gonna have good stuff, and I know that you guys are wondering, but we'll be back. We will be back, and in the meantime, I will be here. And as you guys know, I was here before this. I was here before that stuff jumped off, and I'm still here. And I'm always going to be here because that's the way I get down. So with that being said, I can tell you, drink water, put a suit on, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother. Call your mother. Do that. But until then, take it light, but take it. Absolutely, man. It was good to see you guys tonight. I appreciate it. 100%.